And good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 for Thursday, May 25th, 2023. Again, it was an interesting day coming in today after NVIDIA's earnings yesterday really lit a fire under not only the underlying NVIDIA, but it just really roared the NASDAQ, initially up 150 points. Eventually, by the time we got into Globex, it was up 300, and then maintained that for most of today. So it was quite the scene in the NASDAQ index where that overflow of positive trading energy flowed into Apple, AMET, AMD, Google, Meta, Microsoft. Micron caught a bid, NVIDIA, of course, and even Tesla. So the markets, in terms of NASDAQ, did well today. The S&P did catch a bid, but things were much more subdued. The Dow, for most of today's session, was down as the climate for the debt ceiling continues to hang over the broader market, continues to hang over the treasury markets. So the S&P basically did not roar, did not break above levels that would disqualify or nullify the count as I have it. So I've added the balance and I put a minor wave 5 up here. That's about as far as I'm going to go right now. So I'm just showing that on a minor degree, likely complete here. Now, what would go above all this would be an intermediate wave C and then a primary wave B. Now, what could we be going in? Well, as I counted out yesterday, I counted out 1, 2, 3. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. And then this, we weren't there yet. We basically had only gotten to here. And then Globex opened, they pushed, but then they brought it back down. And then it just basically had its moments today, but had its sell-offs, had its moment, and then they brought it back each time. So it can continue to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we come back down again, break below 41.14, down towards 4,100 or below to put in this initial 5 waves down. And I would probably keep it on a minute level to begin with, and then work from within that time frame, or it would be as high as a minor wave 1 of intermediate wave 1 of primary wave C. So we're building. Now, is that cast in stone? No, but here's an alternative. I would have a large problem should the market run back up and decide to break back above 42.26. Is it totally out of the picture? I would be remiss to say, yes, absolutely, it can't go there. It shouldn't do that. But everything seems to be stacked against it occurring. We ran today, particularly in the broader market, in the Russell, actually, and the NASDAQ took almost entire session before it evened itself back out, was running on a negative breath. In other words, there were more stocks within the indices that were down versus up. So when you see that, and it was at the levels and lasted all of the day against the backdrop of a NASDAQ, which was just to the moon, it can tend to produce a negative day the following session, which would suggest that the S&P and the Dow and the Russell continue to move lower, but pick up the pace tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting. Tomorrow, of course, Friday, it's a weekly expiration. It's also the Friday before a 3-day weekend. Markets are closed on Monday in observance of Memorial Day. So there will be a lot of positioning. There will be a lot of, gee, what do we want to take over the weekend? What do we got going on? How do we want to position ourselves in advance of still having no decision? In fact, the House of Representatives leaders of the House sent everybody home. Go on, have a great weekend. So there's been no decision. Although Speaker McCarthy, President Biden did come out and make a statement. Progress is being made. And then the president is like, we are not going to default. Again, being very firm on that. And if that's the case, why aren't you putting the deal on the table? If you're not going to default, why aren't you putting the deal on the table? Because we're June 1st, folks. June 1st is next Thursday. And that can be a disaster, right? When you think about it, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to have a deal. If we do have a deal, it still has to go through legislation. So nothing will be passed. The government may not have to pay its bills, but we have that option. Well, we'll pay them, but we're going to be a little bit late, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the unknowns really are still going to be out there. And what if there is no deal and we have to do default? What happens then? So this gray cloud continues to hang over the market. Now, certain parts of the market are like, what gray cloud? It's all sunshine and happiness over here, i.e. NVIDIA, i.e. the NASDAQ. So it's presenting a very difficult picture. But as I have discussed previously, that could, the question was asked, the NASDAQ could continue to go up and the S&P won't? And here it is. Here's your answer. Yes. Now, that's also on the basis that if I'm looking for a much larger decline to start kicking in here in the S&P and the Dow and the Russell, well, that would suggest that the NASDAQ is just not going to go all by its lonesome and just go up and up and up and up and up. Although, case in point, in 2007, I believe it was 2007, it might have been 2008, that high that the Dow made, all by itself, while the other markets did not. Let me just take you over there, and I will show you by going to this one, one moment, and we go right here, where the Dow, there was waves A, and that B wave took us to a new all-time high, and the C wave was a crash. Excuse me. And the C wave was a crash. That was the debacle. That was the great economic collapse of 2009. So, can a market go to new all-time highs while the others don't? Yes. It was a B wave. Fast forward. It's a B wave, although you can't tell from that chart, but you can tell from this chart. It's a B wave. This one is still pretty far in the NDX. Right? We got something that's going to go straight up, and I'm going to take that off. Remove that. Remove most of this so we can see what we got going on. There you go. It's a B wave. But I'm not considering that this particular B wave is going to go to a new all-time high above 16,764. Not unless something really just exploded underneath it and just blew it up there. I don't see necessarily that. but it is actually going to new highs within this sequence versus the S&P, which is basically still stuck, getting over itself even here, basis the Russell, which is way stuck, right, versus the Dow. Oops. I'll look at the futures market. There's the all-time high. And we're still pretty even below the December highs. So strange markets all the way around. Let's go back over to our friend, the S&P. Let's go back to that hourly chart. Let's take a peek. Now, what can we say? Two things, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking for a wave 5, or 1, 2, 1, 2. And we're looking for a much stronger leg down to kick in. A 3 of 3 type move. Could it happen? Yeah, it can. What's going to kick it off? There are numerous things that can. So we're going to leave it open. Now, if it is a 5th wave down, then we're going to be looking at the relationships between the 1st wave and the 5th wave. And I'll take that and we do it in both directions. We're just going to continue to use it at our disposal. And here we have that, and I'm going to bring that over to here, right there. So if we're looking here, where's wave 5? Well, actually, it would be equal at 41.35. Well, that's not going to work. We're already pretty far ahead. 1.618 will work. That brings us down to 41.10. And that would maybe finish this first 5 down. So that could work. But if we're looking at a 1, 2, 1, 2, now where can it go? Well, we still can use these, but now we got to add. So we got a 1, 2. So we first have first 1, 2 here, and then we have the second 1, 2 here. If that's what it is, we're looking for wave 3. We're finally possibly going to break below 40.66. Now, mind you, 40.60, big support there. That's the bottom here. Big support. It is very well defended, as is 4100, as is 40, I believe 85 or 40.90, all in there. You come in each day and you look at where the resting orders are. They're going to rest right here in these areas with big ones here, and a break there shoves it down to here. So when we look at it in that respect, that if we get a large enough 3rd wave, we've got our first right here at 40.66, 40.67. There's enough support there that could hold. And then we go again. Or it can plow right through that, and the expectation is we don't have much in between that and 4,000. And sure enough, 1.628 coming in at 39.99, 4,000. So when that starts to line up and you're looking at the potential and what sits in between, you're like, if it got itself going, yeah, we could slide, we could break. So it's not an unreasonable view. It's not an unreasonable expectation if this was the one that's going to pan out. So this is what I'm looking at. So again, we kind of try to just put together what do we have where we can build on? What are we looking at? If the C wave is done, what are we going to be checking out? We're going to be looking from here to here to here, or we're going to go out to our, I want to go out to my weekly chart. We're going to be looking from here to here to here. That this is going to be the completion point. For the B wave, we're going to measure A to B to get the C. Remember, we continue for that C wave, which is still out there, folks. 2,800 or 2,980 to 3,000. That's all right in here. Looks like it's pretty far, but in actuality, it's like just going back to these lows, right? That's what we're looking at, possibly these lows. So it's not the end of the world. Back to the hourly chart. We got a lot to get through. So for tomorrow, here's some interesting things. We do have tomorrow all that PCE data. PCE this, PCE that, et cetera, et cetera. So it's durable goods on Friday, international trade in goods, personal income and outlays, plus S&P PCE data. That is also inflation data. So that all comes out tomorrow and can definitely be market moving. Could very, very easily be market moving. So we're going to just keep our eyes open, and we're going to be looking for what are the possibilities. So I'm going to continue to leave this a little bit unchanged. If the market begins to come off, we've got our levels. We're definitely going to be looking for, if it's a fifth wave, we're looking for it to come below 41.14. We know that we've had on and off support at 41.12, 41.10, 4100. Now, if it slips and breaks right below 4100 pretty quickly, it's an easy street down to 40.60. And then below that, we're back down just below 4,000. So if the market's really going to go head lower and got purpose behind the selling, then it could get all the way down there pretty quick. And that I have been talking about. That once this all begins, once we do have our top, and they are done, and they're making it known that they are done, then it should come off pretty quickly, at least from 42 to 41, 41 to 4,000, and then below. I think the first 200 points should come up pretty quick. We'll see. Over in the NASDAQ, magnanimous as it is, we got up to the next level of resistance today. We got up, we broke 14,000. First time it was just to 14,004. Second time it was to 14,033. So we got up pretty close. Actually, 14,031 with the resistance at 14,034. So it missed it by 3 points. As they say, good enough for government work. Now, am I putting a 5 there? Not yet. Not yet. I can 1, 2, 3, a little teeny tiny 4. And then what do we have? We've got another run up. So what would make sense is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm at a 5. Here's the 3. Here's the 4. We're still got more to go, right? 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. So this push in the NASDAQ, which has been extraordinary, which has truly been extraordinary, as this whole shift into high tech, the big, heavily weighted tech companies, the ones that are trillion-dollar companies, of which NVIDIA now is. It walked and got above that 1 trillion mark today. So how long will the good times roll? Anybody's guess. Except I believe that we keep edging closer. Now, I know you're going to tell me, well, you know, Michael, you just keep moving the count. You keep moving the count. Folks, it's not necessarily me. I'm counting what I'm seeing. And my longer term count continues to tell me that we're topping in a B wave. And again, I continue to share, check out what B waves are capable of doing. Case in point, what I just showed you in the Dow from 2008, where it went and then what came next. When that was going up, the market was very lackadaisical. The market was like not paying any attention to the writing on the wall. Honestly, go back and think about it if you were a trader during that period. Go back and think about what was going on, why, what was happening, and what was creating it. But there was a massive disconnect between pricing and reality. We weren't putting together back then that the mortgage market was like getting really squirrely and out of hand. And a lot of things were not lining up. Well, that ended up collapsing, taking a lot of banks and a lot of savings and loans and a lot of stuff with it. And then eventually the whole financial system started to go down. So, but nobody was expecting that. We were just quiet. We weren't doing anything. Market's not really moving. Then all of a sudden, shebang. Could the same thing happen again? And the NASDAQ actually, instead of the Dow, it's the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ takes us to the promised land and then slices and dices as we all then drop into the pit. So tomorrow, I'm going to continue to leave open the possibility we go up again. What do we have above there? 14,143 or 144, 14,211, 14,325, 14,361. These are all resistance levels. If we didn't think this was going to be possible, you're definitely not going to think that this can be possible. The market went up 300 points overnight. 300 more takes us to here. So again, is it going to be a blow-off of a blow-off of a blow-off? Maybe. Maybe. Can't say. Moving averages, all in alignment. They're just kind of following. This is the hourly. Not like they're getting parabolic. They're just walking it up, walking it up, walking it up. But the 200s are now together and starting to angle higher. So leave open the door. If it rejects and it starts to come off, it should happen quickly. Rejection should be firm and quick. And unless they're willing to turn their back on NVIDIA and start to back away from it for whatever reason, that one will start to go. Everything they got pumped up with it will start to go, and this thing will just start to drop. First of all, giving up 14,000, wherever that happens to be, which it already has, but then giving up 13,900, 800, 700, just like we did before, except it won't stop. Okay, that's where I'm going to complete for this week. And wish everybody an extremely calm, peaceful, but yet energetic Memorial Day weekend. Please don't forget to take a moment to remember those that have sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms, for our lives, for our country. And that, of course, would be our service members. And we'll be celebrating that on Monday. And so the next update, though, I will probably do a big picture update on the 28th. And then on Monday, once we get Globex going, I will do an Elliott wave update for the S&P and the NASDAQ. Have a great weekend, everybody.